Hello scholars, welcome back to the Kemet Maasai Academy as we continue our series of motivational videos for students. I'm reading as usual from the Student's Master Plan, Hardcore Rules for a Lifetime of Success. The topic that I'm looking at this morning is don't be afraid to think. Everybody thinks that they do a lot of thinking, but actually most people do very little thinking at all. They think that they think, but they should think again. Like an aeroplane, most people go through life on autopilot, in cruising mode, just going with the flow like the other people around them. Like zombies or robots, they have no real thought power and allow other people to do their thinking for them. The only difference is that, unlike a robot or a zombie, human beings are truly alive and can think if we want to. We can retrain ourselves to think deeply, creatively, and purposefully. Remember that every man-made object in our material world came here as a direct result of human thought. For every invention, discovery, or scientific breakthrough that we have seen and benefited from, at least one human being had to sit down and think conscientiously and furtively prior to it being invented. Sometimes the thought process had to go on for hours, days, years, even for a lifetime, before the individual had that eureka moment when they exclaimed, "Aha, I've got it." For every aeroplane that you board, for every bed that you sleep in, for every plate that you eat out of, for every underwear that you pull on, someone had to do some deep thinking. Remember that every time you brush your teeth, sit on a bench, flick a light switch, open a book, or sip juice through a straw, you are using a product that can be attributed to the power of somebody's mind. It may be a simple product, like a common pin, or it may be complex, like a space rocket. It doesn't matter. Thought had to go into it. The brain is an amazing organ, and the human brain has no equal. Scientists believe that there are two parts to the brain, the conscious and the subconscious. The subconscious carries out all the activities that you don't have to think about, like breathing, digesting, reflex actions, and the pumping power of your heart muscles. Whether you're asleep or awake, tired or active, these processes go on working for you under the direction of your subconscious mind. The conscious mind is what gives you the ability to think, reason, analyze, negotiate, decipher, and come to conclusions. It allows you to make decisions based on evidence. Scientists believe that most people do not nearly utilize the potential of their conscious abilities. They allow other people to think for them, and they are quite happy with the situation. For a student, independent thought is crucial. Don't be a military student, carrying out orders but afraid to ask why. Don't be a robotic student, accomplishing the greatest feats by programming but having absolutely no insight on how or why they were done. Don't be like a calculator, processing intricate functions only because you were programmed that way. There is a human element to you, and it sets you apart from animals and objects, from the robot and the calculator. Don't just obey rules and follow formulae to the dot without wanting to understand Why? Why is pi 3.14? Why is the area of a triangle half base times height? I wanted to know, and I didn't stop until I found out. When you find out why things are, you will remember them because you understand. Your teacher may not have all the answers, but nobody does. Your teacher's job is not to have all the answers, but to stimulate students and direct them in such a way as to do independent thinking, so you can help to answer some of the questions that still perplex us today, as well as new questions of the future. Right? So don't be afraid to think. I believe education, the hallmark of education, is for a student to come to the point where he or she can do independent thinking. Right? Don't feel that because the teacher says this, mommy says this, the pastor says this, grandpa says this, anybody in authority, just because they say it is so doesn't mean it is so. And remember, there are things that we consider to be facts that over time change. So the facts themselves change, as well as there are misconceptions. There are misconceptions which after time we realize that we were wrong. And you might be the one who is going to come and show the world that we were all wrong all along. Imagine that. You might be the one to change the way the world thinks about a particular thing. Now, you're not going to do that if you're just going to be following suit. What everybody says, that's what you follow, and you're not thinking outside of the box. You won't be the one to start a new paradigm, a new tradition, a new method if you are thinking what you're just always going with the flow, always thinking what everybody else is thinking, always going with what everybody else is doing. The ones who make the change in the world, the real changes in the world, are the ones who are not afraid to think. The ones who are not afraid to branch out, to go counter to where the crowd is going. I believe that my most important job as a teacher is to get students to understand that they should think for themselves. So I allow my students to question everything. I say to them, if you're writing something from the board, you should be reading it to yourself as you write, and you must be asking yourself, does this make sense? Does this make sense to me? And if it doesn't, then you need to respectfully say that it doesn't make sense and ask for clarification and do your own research and find out what other persons are saying on that topic and think about it, and you might come up with a brand new way of thinking about the topic that nobody else in the world has come up with. This is very important for students to understand. So there's a way to do it, of course. You don't just try to blurt things out in the middle of the class or feel that you need to embarrass your teacher by asking questions to show up that your teacher isn't thinking or your teacher isn't on the cutting edge. That's not the point at all. That's wrong to do, right? You should respectfully say, Miss or Sir, I'm not seeing the logic of this. It's not making sense to me. Could you clarify that? Could you elaborate? Could you give me examples? Can we talk about other ways of looking at the thing? As a scholar, you are duty bound to yourself to challenge everything that doesn't make sense to you. And even in your home, you have been raised a particular way, and yes, you must be respectful towards your parents. But if you get to the point where you see that this does not make sense, what I've been seeing my family do, whether it's the religion, the way they eat, the way they act, the way they, whatever it is. If it doesn't make sense to you and if it does not fit with what you think your life should be, your lifestyle should be, you can respectfully decline and say, Mommy, Daddy, I know this is how you've raised me. I know that you're going based on your beliefs, your principles. I don't think it is for me. You have the right to do that. You have the right to do that, right? So the most important job as a scholar is to develop that ability to think for yourself, to question everything that you are told, to challenge everything that does not make sense to you, and to seek information elsewhere and make your comparisons, so that even if eventually you come right back around to it, because that can happen, you can go full circle and come right back around to where you started. At least you will know for sure, yes, this is what I believe, this is what I stand by, because I have searched it thoroughly. I can stand my ground on it, I can defend it based on my experience or based on the information that I've gathered. I'm not just saying it because this person says it is so, right? You must be able to stand your ground on whatever it is that you are doing. If you have been motivated by this video, please share it so that other students, teachers, parents can be motivated as well. If you have not subscribed to the channel, Kemet Maasai Academy, I urge you to do so. And remember, in addition to the motivational videos, we have mathematics videos from grade 4 all the way to grade 11. So take advantage of those. Share the videos so other students may benefit. And I'll see you in the next video.